Good afternoon, and what is a mild grey and cloudy day. It is Friday, the 12th of July, and I'm in the reading up a nice hot cup of tea and a box to continue unboxing. And what I have in here is Keeper Tips. This is the collective wisdom on running games, specifically for Call of Cthulhu. This was published to celebrate the Call of Cthulhu's 40th anniversary in 2021. So the question is, why have it taken me quite so long to actually do an unboxing of this? But here we are. I'm going to do one now. And what we've got in here, we've got the frontispiece and credits and contents page and introduction from Mike Mason, essentially who guided, developed and guided the seventh edition of Call of Cthulhu to fruition and beyond us, and has basically overseen some absolutely fantastic supplements since. And then we get into the first topic, which is the ground rules, laying the basics for your Call of Cthulhu game, and so on. Ultimately, ending with a nice little sentence: "Be nice to everyone." But it's this is how we play, why we play, how should we play, and that's continued with a section on inclusivity, which is kind of necessary in the 21st century, because in the past, hobby's not been quite so inclusive, and we are dealing with periods of history which equally, or even more so, have been not as inclusive. Then what to do, how to prepare your game, which is a much longer section. So yeah, to basically almost 10 pages or so. And then we have addressing the players, and what their role is, what they do. And again, this isn't an illustrated book. This is just simple, clean, tidy guidebook for the benefits of keepers and players alike. Again, the player section is relatively lengthy. Before we have the classic Elder Sign, which goes all the way back to Call of Cthulhu First Edition, followed by a section on sensitivity, again similar to inclusivity. Basically, again a short section, but we have to be aware of the historical difficulties, and differences to when playing Call of Cthulhu, to designing scenarios. This is not going to be enough simply on the design of scenarios. Starts off at page 33, and comes to an end on page 47. So yeah, that's quite a lengthy section, but even in this slim book, but you could write a whole book on how to create scenarios for Call of Cthulhu. And in fact, some people have. If you find a copy of Stealing Cthulhu, or purchase it from Drive-Thru RPG, you will not be disappointed. But anyway, this is all about keeper tips. Before we move on to gameplay, how the game is played and run, what your expectations are, how to play the game well. It's full of good advice, and similarly, how to run the game, how to be a good keeper. Decent lengthy sections, and then we move on to handling specific elements of the game. So, I'm just losing my page there. So, dealing with sanity, the mainstay of the fiction, also accompanying that in basically the section on how to handle the horror at the heart of the game. Essentially, that's why we play. And then addressing the Cthulhu mythos directly with advice on handling that. Doing the same thing for non-player characters. And here I actually really like the fact that they've included that silhouette there. That's a silhouette from one of the cardboard standees. You could cut out and use that appeared in Call of Cthulhu first edition, third edition, second edition and third edition, instead of miniatures, because when you go back to when Call of Cthulhu came out, first thing, you really couldn't get period miniatures for the 20s. So they included these. I mean, all you could buy was primarily fantasy and military miniatures. So you have these basically lovely sort of like period style silhouettes that you could use, and even later on, those silhouettes would actually form the basis or inspire the miniatures that were manufactured for the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. But I mean, to be fair, Call of Cthulhu is not a game that really needs miniatures. You don't need to know exactly where you are in terms of spacing. It's very much more theatre of the mind, primarily because it's not a combat game. Yes, you can have combat in it, but it's not the primary purpose. And then looking at particular monsters, that's quite a short section. And then really, because this came out in 2021, during the period of lockdown under the restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have a section on online play, because that has grown and grown in the years since. So how to do that. And then we move on to props and handouts. Now, Call of Cthulhu isn't the role-playing game that kind of that started the idea of handouts, but it's the role-playing game that took the idea of handouts and props and ran with it. You go back to the first scenario, the haunting. There are things in there that you can give as handouts to your players, diary entries, newspaper reports, that sort of thing. You can create those yourself, and that has led into sort of like a mini hobby all of its own, creating proper props for your Call of Cthulhu game. And in fact, one of the things about it is that when you've got props like that, not only do they add verisimilitude if you do them very well, then they add a lot to the game, as well as intriguing the players to go and investigate further, giving them clues. And indeed, you have publishers like the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society manufacturing big prop sets for your role-playing games. Campaigns like the Mask of Nyarlathotep one, which I've done an unboxing of and is absolutely superb. Anyway, so props and handouts, some notes on how to create those. And then miscellaneous section, we've got another of those silhouettes. This one, Cthulhu, basically it's going to be a star spawn of Cthulhu. And then we have a section on resources. And then biographies of all the contributors to this mini book, including Sean Brainey from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society, David Scott Analowski, author, Jason Durrell, author of a lot of content, Paul Fricker, co-developer of Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, and so on. Lots and lots of names that people will recognize from the Call of Cthulhu family. And lastly, we've got room for the keeper's own notes. Or indeed, what you could do, actually take this and get everyone to sign it. Track down those people and get autographs of them, if you absolutely want to. Anyway, that is Keeper Tips, collected wisdom on running games, in particular Call of Cthulhu, published by Chaosium. Well, I hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And of course, if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you'll see me out here with a box containing a book or game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.